I then had to relearn the Mark V, which of course is a completely different cockpit because it's side by side and everything's in a totally different position. You then go back into the single-seater and you do your first solo in the single-seater.
What was that like?
Amazing. It's actually one of the few flights I remember pretty much. And I can remember it for two or three things really. The first one was I was so keyed up with it that I really didn't think about what I was doing until I was taxiing out. And I remember taxiing out, and I'm quite a broad-shouldered guy, having been a swimmer as a kid. You know, so my shoulders pretty much touch the canopy edges. And I was taxiing out to get airborne on runway 21 at Binbrook. And there was a long straight. After you got off the ramp, there was sort of like a long straight before a right-hand turn to go down towards the holding point for the runway. And I remember allowing myself a few moments to look in the two mirrors, the two rear view mirrors that are on the top of the canopy, and just seeing my reflection and just these very, very, very highly swept wings behind me and thinking, oh my good God, it's 21 years old. And here I am about to be unleashed with this amazing aeroplane. Mm-hmm. You know, something that I'd wanted since the age of 8. Yeah. You know, I got on the runway and I seem to recall that pretty much I was behind events for the rest of the flight until I'd landed. But I do remember sort of climbing up through the clouds and getting above a layer of clouds into the open air and putting the burners in. Mm-hmm. Nice. For about 5 seconds, they kicked in. I felt them, oh, and I took them out again. And that was the only time I touched the burners in that flight, you know, at all. Yeah. Came back, landed, and fortunately for me, there was a little joke that the ground crew used to have with first solo Lightning students, and that was that they were really, really quick at replacing things like brake chutes, doing tyre changes. You know, I said, you know, wearing tyres. So they were constantly changing main wheel tyres, or main wheels, because they change the whole thing. They don't just change the tyre. And they could do it in a few minutes. You know, we're talking literally, you know, sort of Formula One type changes. But the brake chutes, they were really, really quick at doing. Now the brake chute is really a two-man job. And it's quite a trick because the brake chute sits underneath the tail in a stowage that's about this big, but the wire goes around the jet pipes and plugs in to a plug just above the top jet pipe. Right. I can show you it later. So, you know, obviously that would be hot with people taxiing in. And what the ground crew used to do on a first solo was you'd taxi in, and by the time you shut down and climbed out, you know, somebody will go, enjoy your flight. I think you might be in trouble, sir. Uh-oh. And then they take you around and go, you didn't pull the brake chute, and you go, yeah, I did. And you go, you didn't. Look, it's still in there. Because by the time you got out, they got the new brake chute in and connected.
So they wind you
and
up.
They would wind people up. And I do remember Ian Black getting caught with that one, who was on the course after me.